Hello everyone, Jeff and Jay here with Jaysbigadventure. Jay's the fuzzy one. Today we are going to change the spark plugs on our 2012 BMW K1600 GT. One of the first things we need to do is to take all the plastic off of both sides of the bike. We're going to take the upper and the lower pieces off, and we'll do that on both sides. One of the things that I like to do is when I take a screw out, and I'm just using a handheld drill with the tool that comes with the BMW. And when I take that screw out of there, to make sure that I don't lose it, and I know which screw goes where, I'll use a little piece of Scotch tape and tape it right to the bodywork where that screw goes, so that when I go to put a piece back on, I know that screw goes here, this screw goes here. There are several along the insides that need to be taken off, and then there are several across the underside of the bottom cowling, and all those screws need to come out, and they are not all the same length. So by taping them right to the bodywork in the place where they go, that'll help. For starters, we're going to do the upper and lower bodywork on this side. As you can see, I've taken these screws out, taped them in their respective places. Got these two down here. There are two on the bottom that I haven't taken off yet. This piece goes here, and I always forget about this guy here on the end. So remember, there's always going to be a bolt or a screw that goes in here, and now that exposes the last screw for this piece. Okay, so here's one complete side. I've just taped these screws right at the bottom where they go. And you can see every place there's a screw, I've just taped it right to the bodywork. Makes it really easy to keep those screws in the proper order. Thanks for your help, Jay. Now, as you can see, it exposes a bunch of the motorcycle. Now, I've added some additional high beam lights and did the wiring without removing the bodywork, so I'm now going to tie these wires up in here and make this nice. This relay is to the Denali sound bomb. Look for that installation video. That is an extraordinarily loud horn. I love it, and it's definitely worthwhile. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side, and then work on getting the radiator out. One of the purchases that I've made for this bike that has been really useful is this Venom rolling stand. You put the side stand, or the center stand rather, on this, and now it allows me to easily pull the bike around. Makes it really simple. Now that I've swung the bike around on that stand, we're going to do the same removal process on this side. Next, we're going to disconnect the wires to the marking lights, and you just pinch the tab and they pull out. And then we're going to remove some mounting bolts for the shroud so that we can get to the radiator itself. Next are these guys, which I've removed, and then these guys, and that will let this piece come down, which will hopefully let me get this out. I now have the nose piece off, and it is giving us more and more room. You can see how dirty these radiators are. One of the things I'm going to do today is try to get those clean. The bike's been having a little trouble with overheating. I'm a little low on coolant. We're going to fix that. But when we have the radiator out, we're definitely going to give that a thorough cleaning. This may be a little tough to see, but to get the rest of the housing off, there are these little clips back in here, and you've got to use a very small screwdriver to pry the retaining clip down, and then the whole thing slides out. To show you a little closer how these work, these tabs have to be pried down. There's a metal bracket that slides through here with a hole in it, and then these tabs come up and grab that and keep it from sliding out. So you have to pry that tab down, which is this guy here. It releases the catch and then it slides off of that pole. Okay, we are just about there. So I've got the radiator shroud out. There are mounting bolts here and up here that hold the radiator in. Now, the next step is going to be to drain the coolant and then loosen all the hoses. We've got a hose here. We've got a wiring loom here that is attached to this little bolt there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And here we've got the thermostat housing. And we're just going to go around and make sure that we've got all the connections loose after we drain the coolant. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, now I'm actually pretty good about keeping the radiator clean on this bike, or I thought I was. As I was taking this apart, this is all the crap that has fallen out of the radiator housing and grill just since I've been taking it apart, and I power washed this in the spring when I started riding for this season. So I think that could be part of why the bike is having trouble overheating. I ride pretty hard in the mountains. We can be going up 10% grades at relatively low speeds at very high throttle openings and high RPMs. So by cleaning the radiator, I'm hoping that's going to help. By getting all this junk out of there, that should make a difference. We'll add a little bit more antifreeze and hopefully we will be good to go. Next, we need to remove the wire tie here so we can let this set of wires down. This is the connector for the cooling fan, which runs down underneath to the bottom of the fan and then up into the motor. We got to do that one on this side, and there's another one on the other side. Once that is loose, this connector just turns 45 degrees and pulls out. Next come the clips that actually hold the radiator to the bike. And these are kind of like a circlip or an E-clip. And they just slide out. This is a post with a knot with a slot in it, and they just pull out. There's two, one on each side, and there's one on the bottom right here. If you're having trouble removing the clips, get a small screwdriver, run it in underneath, and it'll pull right out. Just like that. With the bottom support post off, now I can pull the radiator forward enough to get this hose off of the nipple. And of course, every bit on this bike is a Torx bit, except for this one. So with BMW's handy little tool, I'll be right back. With this grommet pulled off of this post, I can now drop the radiator far enough to get the radiator hose off of here. Now I think when I release that pin over there and pull it out, I should be able to drop the whole assembly down out of the bike. That is the plan. Because I've had issues with the bike getting warm, I'm going to take the cover off. We've got the bottom two screws out. We're going to take these guys out and take that cover off and see just how clean or unclean the actual radiator fins are. As you can see, the part down near the bottom, which is where the fan runs, is really pretty caked with road grime that gets kicked up by the front tire. So we are definitely going to spray this down with some simple green and clean it well, and that could help with the overheating issue. To help with the radiator cleaning, I'm going to hit this with some solvent. And this bottle is not H2O, but H2O2, or hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide actually dissolves protein, so it will help get the bug guts out of those fine radiator fins. Then we'll hit it with some water, and then I'll hit it with some Simple Green, and hopefully that'll take care of it. I decided to remove the radiator fan. It's just these 4 bolts here. It's pretty simple to do. So I took those out. I've really soaked the back of this with the hydrogen peroxide. We'll let that sit, but you can really tell the difference in the fins between this side and this side. So that's a very good sign, because that means it is just a blocked radiator, and that's pretty easy to fix. Next is going to be to remove the air distribution tube, which is this guy here. And there are nipples that plug in to the housing. You can just see it there. So that's the housing. So this is what has to come out of here. And those are apparently a real bear. There are 3 of them. So we're going to heat that up a little bit with a hairdryer just to make it a little more pliable. See if we can get those out.